Where did you go in India?
I went to Delhi. My friend lived in Delhi. She's in New York now, but her family's in Delhi and Hong Kong. Um, but yeah, she's got a nice spot, cool apartment. It's like in Gurgaon, which is like kind of it's a city, but it's sort of a suburb of Delhi. It's like 40 minutes. But she worked in Center City, Delhi, so it was awesome because she couldn't like take time off work to hang out. But I mean, we hung out plenty anyway. But for the duration of my visit, I would just ride in like during the week. I would ride in on the train or in a car with her and her friend who worked like in the same office. So I every day this was my schedule. I would just wake up, have breakfast, and ride into work with her, and then she would just like go into the office, and I would just start walking, and I would
Nice.
walk for her whole work day, like 8 hours. Sometimes it would be walking the whole time. A lot of times I would stop to like draw or just hang out or visit like cool places. And then when her workday ended, I would just be back at like her office and we'd take the train home or car or whatever. So that was like unbelievable.
So, what's it like in Delhi?
Packed. Nah, I mean, parts of it are. Not. It's not like the whole city's packed, and it's gorgeous. Like there's a lot of poverty and there's a lot of wealth, oddly stacked on top of each other. So it's quite a contrast. But the city, you can tell, like takes care of its like public spaces. So I don't know. It's just a cool place to walk around. There's gorgeous gardens everywhere, and I went at the right time. It was like I'm trying to remember. I think it was February, end of February, and the weather was perfect for me. It was probably like winter for them. Felt like, but I was t-shirt and shorts every day and comfortable. Towards the end, it like got kind of hot, but I don't know. For someone from Philadelphia, it was comfortable. Although I got scolded by her mom because I woke up one day and I like it was probably 80 degrees out Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is Celsius, but it was like warm to me or
Right, right.
75 maybe, like a little above room temperature. And I had a t-shirt on and like gym shorts because it's just comfy clothes to walk in.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You can't go out in that. You have to put a jacket on," or like blah blah blah. And I'm like, "No, like I'm sweating in this." But you walk around and all the guys are wearing like long sleeve shirts, like dress shirts,
Right.
slacks, and like a sweater vest. And I'm sweating in a t-shirt. I'm like, I don't know, just gotta be used to it, I guess. But
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you live in that kind of environment where it is warm for the majority of the year, yeah, you definitely your body adapts to it. And but
yeah,
that's funny. That's such a mom thing to say too.
it was. And also they have I've heard of it before, but they take it seriously in India where you can't walk on the floor barefoot because they think you'll get sick. And I thought it was just like kind of like an old wives' tale kind of thing over there. But her cousin was a doctor, and he was like 28, and he came over to the house, and he told me the same thing. He's like, "Oh, you have to have something on your feet, or you'll get sick."
Okay.
Which is funny because like I grew up walking around my house barefoot, so it was just like little cultural things you find that are
Yeah, maybe like yeah, like so walking inside the house,
yeah,
they
just
have
walking around the house
they
because
have like slippers and stuff.
they have tile floors, and I guess the floors feel cold to them, but I guess like they think I'll get sick because I'm walking around on the tile floors barefoot, but
Or
it just
like
seems like normal to me.
or your feet are like getting dirty and then you're like going to bed and the dirt's like getting in your bed. Like I don't know. I guess
Maybe
that's
maybe they thought I was unclean.
so
Their apartment was like meticulous though. They have like a cleaning lady, and there's like the whole place was super clean. The whole outside is dusty, but the inside is like spotless.
I read in your blog like you kept referring to I guess the mom as auntie.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you could tell me what you meant, like talk about that.
So it's just like a sign of respect for pretty much any elder. So anyone that's like a generation above you, or even just older than you, is either auntie or uncle.
Okay.
So like all your friends' parents, you would refer to as auntie or uncle. And
That's
I'm not sure if it. I think it applies to strangers too. It's been a while, but
yeah.
yeah, you're pretty safe. Like just calling because if you don't know their name, especially, then it's safe to say one of the two, depending on their gender.
Yeah. And I know a lady from Guyana. Guyana? How do you say it? Guyana?
Guyana, I think. I'm not
Guyana?
sure.
Yeah. And I feel like that's not how you say it, but anyway, in South America,
We could be
and
totally wrong.
she lives across the street from my grandma and their friends, and every time she comes over, she always calls my grandma mum, and that's what I thought about when I was reading your blog. So I think it's like the similar thing, the respect thing, where
Yeah, it's
um,
interesting.
yeah, and I think that's cool though. Like it's kind of like, yeah, not calling an elder by like their first name, like when you're younger.
Yeah, yeah.
So or
Yeah.
teachers,
I'm
like
still. Did you go through that phase where you're like you become an adult and you refer to other adults by their first name, but you still don't know what to say to your friend's parents? Like I still will say like Mr. Scott or whatever, even though just because like that's how I grew up. Like when you know them your whole life,
yeah,
you've been calling them that.
yeah. I guess I don't see a lot of my my friends' parents, but that's a good point. I'm gonna start. I like
It's funny though because
yeah.
sometimes like I've run into friends' parents, and I know like one or two times I'm like I'm 27 now, but this was more when I was like early mid 20s. A couple times I said, "Oh, hey, David," and I just felt so weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I don't think I can do
You're
that."
like, sorry, Mr. Wilson. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes, there's so many like just etiquette things in our culture that I haven't even figured out, let alone like all these other cultures. Like also in India, like the really senior people, like the elders, you're like it's like respectful to bend over and touch their feet, which is like totally new to me. I'd never touched anyone's feet before because feet are like to
Sacred.
me kind of gross.
Okay.
I'm like, why am I touching your feet? But it's like it's normal there. And so when her like grandfather would come over or whatever, I think it was when we greeted, but also when we said goodbye, I'd like touch his feet.
Okay. That's interesting.
And then when I wrestled over there, it was like the guru, who's the coach. I like touched his feet too. Apurva, who's the one that invited me, who I was staying with, would be like,
So-
would nudge me and be like, you can touch his feet now." And I was like, "Okay." Although it did cross my mind, like she could just be messing with me.
that's true. Like you never know. Like when you're in a different country.
Yeah,
Okay, wait a minute. Like you just bend over and you just do like one
yeah.
little
You just bend down and just like touch the top of his feet.
like a okay. And
Yeah. Hey man, I can't explain it, but
I did read once, like in Tibet, maybe that some monks, when the way that they say hello, I put it on my page, is they like stick their tongue out and they just go, and it's like yeah, it's like this
how it started this.
yeah, there's yeah, but there's actually a reasoning behind it that it was one of the old kings had like a specific colored tongue or something, and like they would show it, like you can read the article, and I think it said like by sticking your tongue out, and to show that you're not this. I don't know. You have to read that you're not like this evil person or whatever. But I put it on that page. Um,
Interesting.
it was kind of weird, yeah. But I also heard in India, I had a friend who like I don't know if you notice this, but like guys in general, like when like guys who are friends, like you might see them on the street like holding hands and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, did you see that at all?
Oh yeah. It was
Like,
like, well, India in general is like still, at least relative to the US, like pretty conservative. Um, like there's not a lot of out gay people from what I could tell.
okay.
But the first time I saw it, I think I was with Porva, and I saw two guys like walking down the street holding hands. And I made a comment to her. I was like, "Wow, I didn't think like people would be this open about it, like in Delhi."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Because I just assumed they were gay. It was like two guys holding hands." And then she was like, "No, like friends just do that." Oh, and not only that, it was like also interesting the way they did it because like a lot of times it wasn't like normal hand holding. Someone would just be like holding onto someone's pinky, or they would be like just be walking down the street with the, like locked pinkies. It was interesting, but like the
Yeah.
first time I saw it, I'm like, oh wow, this gay couple is like really confident in the traditional kind of area,
Yeah.
which like I was like, wow, they're kind of brave, I guess. But no, that's just like that's the norm for like guy friends.
Yeah, that's cool because it's like it's so different than
Yeah,
any like I feel like he told me yeah there might be like a chain sometimes there'd be like three or four of them they're like all holding hands. I
I
don't you
can't
probably
remember if I saw a chain or not,
but maybe at like the beach or something but
but
like
I definitely saw it. Like it's very common to the point where it's like not even you don't really notice anymore because you just get used to it.
that's cool, yeah. Um so India was like normally people maybe don't want to go to India because there is a lot of poverty. Like what was that like to you? Do you feel like
Um, it takes some getting used to because the whole caste system, where it's like very stratified, like socioeconomic classes. They say that like it doesn't exist anymore. We did away with the caste system, but it's still like it's there. You can tell. And the one, I mean, there's homeless people everywhere. There's beggars everywhere. There's people selling like a lot of kids, especially like it's hard not to notice the kids, obviously.
right?
But like little girls who are maybe 3 or 4 will run up to you and like tug on your hand and try to sell you like those little plastic packs of tissues or like whatever. I mean, it takes some getting used to. But the strangest moment for me was, I guess, the rickshaw drivers. They're like in the service industry. They pedal bikes that like with the benches on the back. If your viewers know what a rickshaw is, probably. Um, they're like pretty in the lowest caste. Um, it was interesting because I love cycling, and I hadn't been on a bike like the whole time I was there, and we had on the way on the train back from her work, which we took almost every day. We'd get out at the train station and hire a rickshaw driver to like bike us back to the house. Um, and there was one guy there who like was kind of the regular, like a Porva. He would pick up a Porva every day, so she kind of knew him, and they had a relationship. And we were talking, and I'm thinking like, I kind of want to drive a rickshaw. Like, can I'm in the back, and I'm asking her like, do you think he would let me like pedal it for a few blocks or like one of the runs? Because I just wanted to like try it out. And she was like, yeah, like probably I could ask for you. And I was like, yeah, okay, like we'll just switch seats. I'll get on the bike and he can just sit back here with you and I'll pedal both of you like to the apartment just for the kicks. And she was like, no, he wouldn't do that. And I'm like, what? And my friend is from like one of the upper echelons, I guess, in the what used to be the caste system. And she said, like, very matter of factly, like, no, like, I don't think he would do that. And it kind of struck her too because she had never thought about it. But she said to me, she was like, he wouldn't sit next to me because there's just like a unwritten divide there where he like wouldn't presume to sit on the same seat as her, which was like, I don't know, kind of jarring, I guess, in a subtle way. But I didn't like. I ended up not riding the rickshaw because I didn't want to put him in like an awkward position,
Right, right.
like uncomfortable. So I never ended up asking. But it was like the whole rest of the ride home. I'm like, this is kind of fucked up. You can edit that out.
Yeah, I think I swore already too, but that's interesting. I never thought about that. I know my parents have like told me that when they were growing up, that when they used to take the city bus and stuff, and there would be different classes. Like I feel like the blacks would have to sit at the back of the bus, and like there's different. Although the back of the bus is always like the coolest part of the bus. I remember going on the school bus and like the backs where like the cool kids sat.
Yeah,
But
4-year-old me had trouble with that too.
what?
Learning about civil rights when you're like a toddler or
Yeah.
like early in school. Because the first time I heard about Rosa Parks and like her movement was like sitting at the back or sitting at the front, and they told her to sit at the back and she wouldn't. And then my like little child brain was like, "Oh, but the cool people sit at the back of the bus."
Yeah. Same. Yeah, I know. Um, that's interesting. That's a big. I don't know what to say to that, but yeah,
No,
they don't.
there's still a lot of racial inequality and things there. I mean, that's everywhere. You find that everywhere, but like, there's also like a lot of decent people that supersede all that. So yeah, you can like, I mean, India has its own things it's working through, but there's so many amazing people there. So
So if you were to drive the rickshaw, like, would you have driven it
I
like
wanted to ride it so bad.
like would you have driven it like or ride it like beside other rickshaw drivers and like like I've seen like it's packed, isn't it? Like on like there's
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you go, like some of the main roads are packed, but some of the side streets, like I think it would have been fine. If I had gone on the main roads, it would have been scary. We
right,
got an
right.
auto. The driving there is nuts. It's like
That's what I mean. Yeah, if you were to
it's
drive.
very organic. Like the drivers, the cars on the road. In the U.S., it's all very structured and rigid. Like you stop on the red, you go on the green, and like the red and green, I guess, is like the stoplights are followed, but like lanes and signaling, like there's none of that. They have lanes painted on the road, but no one, you wouldn't know it by looking at the traffic patterns because everyone just goes where they please. It's like the cars move like the same way pedestrians walk on a crowded sidewalk. You know, like if there's space, you just go to it, and the people honk all the time. But
Yeah.
it's like where I'm from, if someone honks at you, you know they're pissed off.
Yeah.
It's like you either messed up or they messed up and they're angry about it. Like there's like tension in a honk here.
Oh
Over
yeah, here too, for sure.
over there, it's just like, okay, I'm coming up on your left or something.
Yeah.
It's more of just like sonar because everyone's honking and no one checks their mirrors. They just go for it.
Yeah.
And you better hope someone honks if they're going for the same spot or else you'll crash. But I was in an auto, so they call them autos, or like a tuk-tuk, I guess they call them in, I think, Southeast Asia.
Like Thailand, yeah, tuk
Yeah,
tuk, yeah.
they're just like the little pods. They're auto rickshaws, is what auto is short for. But we took one of those, and the guy was the driver, I guess, was not satisfied with with the speed of the traffic we were in. So he cut across to the. This was on like a big road, like 3 lanes on each side, and he cuts across the median and just is driving head on into traffic. And we're in the back, like we're on the wrong side of the road. And I think he could tell that I was like, "What are we doing?" He's like, "Oh, it's not much further." So
Yeah. We'll be fine.
he's honestly he's dodging cars that are coming at us, and then we go maybe like 100 yards and then turn off into a side road. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm
I
gonna die."
I think a good word for that is organic. And you got to watch the show Departures. And there's an episode where they go to India. And he has the same expression that you just said, like he's in one of those cars and like the noise and honking, and he's like, I don't know how I didn't die today. Like that was just.
I tried driving.
You did?
I did. It was terrifying, and I think I'm a decent driver, but it was the most stressful. Other than my first time actually on the road behind a wheel, it was the most stressful I'd ever been driving. Or
I
like
bet.
when my mom is in the car with me because she stresses me out when I drive also. But she or like Apoorva let me drive. She said, "Oh, do you want to try driving?" And this was probably really stupid on her part, but she just gave me the keys and was like, "Give it a shot." And I pull out and I'm on the main road and I'm thinking, okay, what is everyone doing around me? It was bonkers. And I drove maybe a half mile and I pulled off and I was like, nah, you got this. Because I'm like, this is going to end in a crash. Because I don't know what in the US and like, I guess other places, you know what all the other drivers are about to do. Because there's
Right.
lanes, there's signals, there's turn signals. It's like you could pretty much do it blindfolded. It's so easy. And
We
then
get
yeah, you just don't know what's about to happen. You just drive, and you're just ready the whole time, and it's all
yeah.
action time. It's stressful.
We get pissed off when like someone forgets to signal. Like, oh man, I can't believe that guy didn't put his signal on. It's like,
I'm the same way. And actually, the funny thing is like I know there's a stigma about like foreigners driving about how like there's some stereotypes of like Asians being bad drivers or whatever. And it was kind of enlightening because after Porva told her mom, auntie, that I drove, she was like, "Oh, how was it?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, it was really stressful." Blah blah. And she was like, she's like, "Yeah, if you can drive in India, you can drive in anywhere. India makes the best drivers." And I think from her perspective, it's like because they're the most attentive and they're ready to like dodge and weave and like everything. They're great drivers in a sense that they're skillful with maneuvering.
yeah, it's like a video
But
game.
and she made the statement like, yeah, if you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere. And from like my perspective, I'm like that might be why people in America think Indians are bad drivers because on the U.S. roads with like our system, it doesn't mesh to just like go weaving through traffic and not using signals and whatever. But
Yeah, maybe like you're not as engaged when you're driving. Like sometimes you just go
oh
on
yeah,
autopilot and you're like,
no, in the U.S. that's certainly the case because I've seen people on my commute reading books like while driving. Because in the U.S. it's like everyone there's such structure to it that you really barely need to be paying attention to drive successfully. And in India, if you try to read like one sentence,
check your text
yeah,
message. Like,
yeah. Oh my god, I can't imagine if texting while driving happened in India. There'd be crashes everywhere. It probably does. I don't know.
I was gonna say, I wonder how often there are like crashes. I wanted to say though, when I was in Barbados, I kept hearing this honk from the cars, and it was like this clown horn. It was like this really fun like doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, and you keep hearing it like from your hotel. And then when I was walking on the street with my sister, there were these vans that were driving around and they would pick up people and then like little taxis kind of. Um, but that was the sound they would make. I thought it was for honking, and I thought, hey, maybe that would be a little bit not as angry as like our honks, like, "Arr!" And you're kind of
So,
like, oh shit, like people are pissed or like,
yeah.
but because like I even have a hard time honking at people. I'm
Oh,
like,
I never honk.
yeah, it's
Actually, I've
sometimes,
honked probably less than 10 times in my life.
yeah, it's like maybe if the honk wasn't as aggressive sounding, like it's just like, oh hey, like I just gotta get
If
by,
it's the
like
clown noise.
yeah,
But yeah,
uh,
no, the honk is like a totally different connotation here. Although it might just be a city thing too, because you go to New York City and everyone's honking.
yeah, that's true. Same with
But,
Toronto.
but I feel like in New York City everyone's pissed off.
Yeah, and the people maybe yeah. What you went to? Why don't you talk about that festival you went to in India?
Oh my goodness. Holy cow.
Holy cow! Yeah.
So they have like two major festivals, Diwali and Holi. And Holi is the festival of color, and it's like the mark of the start of spring. And I was friends with a lot of Indian people in college, so I had already celebrated Holi like on campus in the U.S. because it's like all the Indians come out and celebrate their festival on campus, and it's like it's not just Indians; they invite all their friends, so it's like a good mix. Um, so I kind of had already known what it was, but I really wanted to check it out in India, and it was one of the coolest experiences because it's celebrated everywhere, but they also have people throw like actual parties. So Apoorva hooked us up with tickets, which were to this event called Holy Cow, and it's at like this farmland. They had three or four stages all day of just like bands. One was a DJ. One of the stages was DJ at the pool. It was like a pool. One set. It was like all these segments of the party, and one was a pool party with a DJ next to the pool. And then
That sounds very sweet.
there was another main stage that had like live bands all day. There was another stage with like different, I guess, genre. The big stage was like pop music and like dance music. That I don't know. It was just like a lot of music. It was like a kind of a music festival slash holy party, and it was amazing. And I guess the most notable thing about Holy for people that have never seen it is you just have color. They throw color everywhere, and it's like powder. It's basically like dyed flour, kind of. So and it comes in all different colors, and you like stock up on color before you go out or whatever. But at the place they have color there too, and everyone wears white pretty much. So you're just like throwing color at people, and it just when you throw it, it's just like a puff of smoke, and then it's like flour, and you get it on your face, and like your whole body's covered in it. And by the end of the day, like everyone is just caked. And I really wanted to bring my camera. I didn't have my good camera back then, but I didn't even like really use my phone because there's no electronics that would have survived this event. Because there's also like it's not just color; it's water too. Everyone has like water guns and buckets. Even like some people just run around just throwing buckets at people. And
Buckets of water or
yeah,
buckets of okay.
no buckets of water. And so when we woke up, there was a holy party at her apartment complex, like in the courtyard, and there was just like hundreds of people there, all with like they had massive tubs of water where people would like refill their super soakers. They had jets shooting water like 50 feet in the air.
Nice.
They had a DJ on top of like I guess the entrance to the building was like an overhang, and they had a DJ set up on top of it. It was crazy. It was just a huge block party where everyone was just throwing color and like shooting water guns at people and like pouring buckets on people's heads. It was a blast. And then so we did that for a bit. Then we went and like got cleaned off. And then we went to the Holy Cow party that we had bought tickets for at this farm with all the music and stuff. And that was unbelievable. And Yeah, we went with like a few friends. I think technically it might have been illegal. Like, I'm not really sure. There was like a kind of a legality question mark to the whole thing because it seemed like it's kind of like underage drinking in the U.S. Like I don't think it's allowed, but everyone went anyway. But one of the friends was like trying not to be in any photos because they didn't want her parents finding out that they were.
Right, right.
Um, oh, they also have this thing like I didn't partake because I don't. I'm like pretty square and don't get into weed or anything, but they have a holy drink. I can't remember the name. You could like edit it into your video, but they
Yeah, you said it was called like weed milk or something, didn't you?
that's what I called it because I don't remember the name. But they have milk.
I had it written down here, but okay, yeah, I will edit it in.
I don't remember what it is, but everyone on Holy drinks. It's like milk laced with weed. I don't know if they just stir it in or if there's like a process to it, but it's weed milk, and everyone gets high on milk. So it's an interesting day.
Yeah, I think you described that more detailedly in your blog, right? And
I'm trying to remember.
yeah, that's because that's where I read it, and I also saw the pool party where like the pool turns, it starts turning blue and then
Yes.
green.
Oh my gosh. Throughout the day, it like you just evolved through these different phases of color. Because in the beginning, it's like pink. The whole pool turned pink, and then because everyone's throwing color everywhere and it's all over people, and then people will just dive in the pool, and the pool turns these crazy colors, and it went from like pink to purple or blues. Different parts of the pool are different colors, but it was funny because by the end of the day, the whole pool was like poop brown because all the colors mixed together, and also like since everyone is throwing water the whole time, the grass was just all mud. There's
Yeah,
no grass left. The whole place was mud, and so people were just like super muddy, diving into the pool. So it was like a really pretty pool for the first like 4 hours. By the end of the day, it looked absolutely disgusting.
yeah, that's funny. And
I definitely recommend if anyone's planning a trip to India, build it around Holi because when I went, the weather was perfect. It was like great walking around temps, and India can get crazy hot, so definitely go like February ish, March. I'd say February, and then yeah, Holi. Check out Holi. Which
nice.
when I went, it was like I think the end of February. I don't know. I think the date might change every year, but try to work that in if you end up going.
It's kind of cool that I think about like in Canada or the U.S. You said it's a celebration of spring or right or
Well,
celebrate,
it's called the Festival of Color,
but they're
but,
celebrating like the seasons
but
changing,
yeah.
right?
So I think Holi is like kind of marking the start of spring, and then I think Diwali is the opposite. But they don't really have the four seasons like we do, so it's a
Right.
little I guess different. But that's kind of how I took it.
So they have what like two seasons?
They have what I think is a wet and a dry season, but their dry season gets crazy hot.
Right. So yeah, maybe that's I was gonna say like from us going from like these blizzards to like spring, like it's actually such a cool feeling and
Yeah,
you're like,
like
wow, the
Easter for
sun. Sorry?
it's like Easter for us.
Yeah, yeah. So but it's cool the actual event that goes on
Yeah,
that everyone in the country, I'm guessing, is like celebrating that.
yeah, and actually, I like watched. I've seen my fair share of Bollywood movies. Bollywood is like the Indian Hollywood. That's actually way bigger than our movie industry. They like put Hollywood to shame with numbers because they make so much money and make a shitload of movies. But in so many Bollywood movies, they do like their holy scenes because they translate so well to screen because it's just so colorful and everyone's having a good time. There's a lot of dancing, so it's kind of like it's made for movies.
Yeah, you'll have to recommend some of those movies then.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen a Bollywood movie.
they're interesting. They're really long. There's usually an intermission, which is
Nice.
which is kind of fun. I watched one. I watched two on the plane over, um, and I had seen some before, but it always cracks me up that like the screen will just say intermission for like however long it is, which is funny. But there are a lot of tragedies. The one movie I saw that was so good was also like really depressing. It's like I don't know. I don't need to give anything away, but
Yeah, we can
the
talk.
happy ending isn't necessary in a Bollywood movie.
Yeah, so sometimes those are the best movies.
Yeah,
But you got your blog too, right? So like people can read the stories there too,
yeah,
which is cool.
colonyally.com.
Yeah.
I had a blog that was just for India called "Sorry I've Never Flown Before." Because I felt like that was my attitude for a while because I didn't know what I was doing and I would ask a lot of stupid questions.
Yeah.
I came up with the name like on the way out because I started the blog shortly after I left and I felt like I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just asking people, which is half the fun of traveling. But that was kind of the attitude I took into it. It was like, hey, sorry, I've never
It's my first time traveling.
this
Yeah.
time out of the country. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, tell me where I'm supposed to be. Where's my gate? But yeah,
uh
I'm transferring everything to colonelly.com. I do a lot of photography stuff, so it's kind of a photography website, but I have a blog within it.